Ushaulizwa we ni nani ama wewe unajijua we ni nani? Ushaenda interview na ukaulizwa tuambie wewe ni nani kwa maneno matatu. Tell us who are you or who do you think you are? Have you ever been asked those questions, you know? Ama hata wewe mwenye unatuwatch, do you really know who you are? Ama unaangalia watu ndio ujue, I think mimi nakuaga hivi. So this is where we are going to be ensuring you we understand sisi ni kina nani. Yeah, so we're excited for this episode and thank you so much for tuning in to the episode 4 of Divine Realities podcast. I am your host, Essie Howard, and I have this great gentleman, waji introduce to Ajue.
Kwa dakika 3 najiambia jieleza. I love that. Hi guys, this is your boy Sahazori Oguso and I'm happy again to see us again.
Yeah. My name is Javan. Sijui kama najijua vizuri.
Tutajua kama unajijua.
Tutajua.
Manjavo by the way.
A former J
I
Prince.
I think that's a new identity. That's a new identity. Yeah.
A former J Prince.
Leo nayo ni moto kwa sababu tunaongelelea identity. Identity na before tufike kwa identity in Christ, because this is a Divine Realities podcast and mostly we want to ensure that this platform is whatever we are talking about is inspired by the word, is inspired by Christ. But even before we get to that, we usually also want to bring it to an understanding of how things are before we actually now bring in the aspect of how God looks at it, or even how we can break down all the things we talk about, but now in the aspect of what God says about it. So before that, ningetaka pia tuseme tujue identity, what really is identity, ama like, kwa sababu unajua kuna hii swali yenye watu ulizwa kwa interview, tell us about yourself, ama tell us who you are.
Kuna ingine nilisikia mahali, je unajijua?
Yes.
And I was like, hiyo ni kule hospitali kule, si ndio?
Je unajijua? Hiyo nyingine hiyo. Mimi najua ile je umepima.
Hii ni mpya. Hii ni latest. Hii ni yetu hapa hivi.
Mbona mnanipoteza?
I can't relate.
But I get you.
Yeah, so we want to really know identity ni nini. And mimi nikisikia the word identity, it's like your identification. Mtu akisoma hizo vitu kama ni vitu zimeandikwa chini hata jioni AC anakuwa described. So like for me identity ni your traits, your character, your beliefs, the things that are like factual about you. Mtu akiongelelea Javan nasema hizi vitu, that's like for sure you wouldn't like uwezi waruka, uwezi sema hapo hapana. Yeah, so I think for me that's what I can say identity is. Like kenye mtu anaweza sema that is truly who you are. I don't know what you guys have to say, especially when it comes to just saying what identity is for you, your understanding.
I think simply for me, identity is who you really are, or who you think you are.
Okay,
and who you
Okay.
think you are. And maybe we'll get into the depth of this as we proceed. But this is something, as you say, issue ya identity kuna watu wengi hawajijui. And many times we allow many things to define who we really are. For some people, they allow the society to define who they really are. Maybe their peers, some even their parents, some their family members, their colleagues at work and all of that. But I think we need to come to the point where you know who you really are. Na wewe unajijua mwenyewe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Mine is a funny one. Because I remember this is how I used to identify myself with ule mse wa makelele. So like what you have said, Pasi, the society identifies, used to identify me as a, I think up to today, like Oguso mse wa kelele. Like literally juicy, it's just juicy. Someone was just telling me, I don't have a big voice, you have a very loud voice, so why don't you just shout like, hello guys, listen. And like I just did once, like, yo,
na wakasikia.
Wakasikia, like wasi. Anyway, for me identity, it comes hand in hand with basically what I do most. I'll tend to focus on that. You see, like for me nimezoea kuongea. So ukitaka tu kuongea, kuja tutaongea tu, sitakosa story. No, I'll focus on that. Yes.
Is it true that mtu akikwambia please tell me what you know about myself, that they are more likely to tell you the truth about who you really are kuliko venye unaweza dhani wewe uko? I don't know.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
Kuna watu ambao watakwambia ukweli na kuna wenye watakuchocha. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And ukitaka kujua mtu anakuambia ukweli, mtu anakuambia ukweli, akikwambia ukweli mara mingi huwa inakuuma.
Okay.
It's true.
Yeah. People used to tell me, "Bado unapenda kuongea sana yani. Hizi nyamaza." But it's just me.
It's just me.
Yeah, it's just me.
Unapenda kukula.
Kwa mfano mkiniacha hii, ladies and gentlemen, mkiniacha hii podcast. Hii yote, hii session yote mimi naweza ongea mpaka mwisho. Mpaka directors ataniambia
time out.
time out. But just me, of which at first I used to feel so much like come on guys. Kwa nini nyinyi siwepe uko na weakness yako? Then I started looking for small weaknesses za watu wengine. Ndio mimi pia use that against you.
Akikwambia unapiga kelele anamwambia
na wewe pia na wewe je. So what Pasi unasema ni ukweli. Ukifeel kuna venye lakini ile unakuja unapambwa mapambo yote unanyushwa
kuna kashida.
Hata mwenye paka unasema ai yaki mimi nakuwa hivyo mpole.
Yeah.
Hapana.
Alafu but I'm just trying to think when it comes to identity. Kwa sababu you can't really say that you've always been to a place where you know yourself. Like you're self-aware. Let me just put it like that. Self-aware. It's something that happens, especially for me. I'd say most of the times when I've struggled when it comes to my like self-awareness, self-esteem, kujua mimi ni nani. It's when I was going through transitions in life. Kuna ile transition ya from a child to adult, from high school to college, from college to now life after school. Hizo ma transition, but hiyo inaitwa midlife crisis.
Midlife inakuja ukiwa 35 huko.
Hiyo inakuja huko. Sio sahi.
Huyo msichana amekimbia.
Hiyo yako ilikuwa ya adolescence.
Ngoja, how old are you again?
Mimi nilikuwa nadhani nisha graduate.
Midlife bado.
How old are you again?
You see, now that's why we need to really understand
Yes.
Basi what is struggling with identity Basi, because I'm sure there are so many people who are watching us ama listening to us na hawajui kwamba wana struggle na identity. Yeye anadhani anajijua because first of all sasa unajua kuna social media, and social media has a way of giving you traits and characters, but hujui ni juu ya vitu una watch ama your friends ama you tried to fit into the group of your friends, so you actually think that that's the person that you are until one time you stay alone in the house and you're like, I actually don't know myself. I don't even know what I like. I don't know what I don't like. You see, actually it's usually breaks down to those small things. I don't know what I like. I don't know Pasi what you can say.
Yeah, actually I think identity crisis is something that people struggle with in various stages of life. Kuna msee ako 50, ako 60 na bado hajajijua.
Wow.
Na kuna msee anaweza kuwa mtoto ako less than 10 years na hajijui, which we expect will be normal. But mostly I think psychologists usually tell us that many people struggle or begin having that identity crisis when they're in their teenage all the way to young adulthood and sometimes stretching all the way to midlife huko. Because during that time ukiwa hiyo age, especially the teenagers, there's a lot that is happening. Our bodies are changing, we are growing, a lot of things are happening, we are discovering new things. Na kuna kuwa na confusion fulani yenye inakuaga mtu akiwa hiyo teenage. Actually most of the people who have messed up in life inakuaga around that time, because if you come from a background where you have not been affirmed by your parents, for instance, and you meet friends who keep affirming you and who keep showing you some nice things which nobody has ever appreciated in your background, there's a likelihood that you will always try to flow with the current. If you meet people that will begin to introduce you to some stuff because you want to fit in, na kuna episode si alituambia yeye alikuwa anajaribu kufit in kwa life ya watu wa Nairobi na yeye ametoka huko nini. So utarealize if somebody who is not self-aware will easily be swept by that because unataka kujionyesha hata wewe una fit into that class. So it's something that I think one of the signs that somebody is struggling with identity crisis is when they are not able to be assertive and to make certain decisions or firm decisions about their own life. Ile yenye mtu akikwambia twende north unaenda north. Mtu anakwambia twende Kisauni na wewe ulikuwa unaenda Kongowea, unaenda tu Kisauni. Sijui kuna nini, kuna form gani. You can't be able to make decisions on your own. And you're always doing things to please other people. Most likely you're struggling with identity crisis.
Wow, that's amazing.
Then also kuna hii story ya self doubt. Somebody who is not self aware will always be comparing themselves with other people and doubting their own capabilities. So unapata msee pengine ni a gifted musician, but huyu msee anajiforce kwenda kucheza futa because futa ndio the in thing kwa hiyo mtaa yao.
Kwa mtaa.
Mimi nishaienda kujaribu kucheza rugby nikiwa high school.
Surely.
Na ile GB yenye ulikuwa ama GB ingine.
Au sijali. I have ever tried that because everybody in our class was rugby was the thing.
Okay.
Ukiwa una play rugby, unajulikana wewe ndio ule msee. But when I imagine myself going back to that pitch and nashangaa shida yangu ilikuwa nini. But it's because I was trying to fit into what was trending in our school then. Being in rugby ulikuwa unaonekana kwamba wewe ni wale master wa shule. Yeah, but that was not my thing at all.
Yeah, I think actually really struggling with self-identity even affects your relations.
Yes,
the relationships around you, whether it's friendship or anything else. They are more, how do I call it, mediocre. They are not really real connections.
Yeah, sure.
Because ujijui kwanza we mwenyewe.
At times you can be the problem.
We mwenyewe.
Yeah, because one, simply because you're not taking initiatives in the relationships you are in. And then in decision making, as Pasia amesema, because one, before I relate with you, I need to have a relationship with you. You see, something has brought us pamoja, you know, and that's why we are relating. No. So it becomes so hard if I'm still struggling na identity. Then for me to make that decision, that's when napata I'm all around. Nikiambiwa abaide kuna formu mimi naenda. Nikiambiwa I cannot say and take this firm decision, it's a no. My answer is no.
Yeah.
Sisi sitaki kwenda, nataka kwenda, but today I'm saying no and taking that decision, a very firm one, I'm not going.
Yeah.
But now, if, as Pasio said, you are everywhere. When ule bendera fata upepo, lack of a better sentence. Unafuata tu kila mahali. So if I don't get to take initiatives in my relationships now, it doesn't mean boy girl relationship only. It means like everyone that I'm related with.
Yeah.
Then my decisions obviously will turn out not to be so good.
Yeah.
And then basically people will be looking at me and like those who have identified themselves, you know, like you need to check yourself on these particular scenarios.
Yeah. I think struggling with self-identity is it's quite a crisis. I think people really is it underrated? Because it really affects a lot of things.
Yeah.
It affects your mental state. It affects the people around you. It affects the decisions you make. It affects even like there are some things you might end up doing that will probably have a long-term implication in your life because of the decisions you probably made when you didn't really understand yourself. So that's why we feel, I feel it's very important, and I think we are in agreement, it's very important to know your identity. Wewe kwanza, hata before you know your identity in Christ, you know, first of all, know your identity. Mimi ni SC, sipendi kuongea sana. Ama napenda kuongea sana.
Ama napenda kula.
Ama napenda kukula. Unaona? Napenda kulala. By the way, ukiniweka mali kuna atmosphere nzuri naweza lala. You see? Yeah. Ama napenda story. Naweza piga story hapa na pasi hadi time we need to go. So like you need to know yourself. You know, when you know yourself, you can be bold enough to even, I think it really affects your confidence. Once you know your personality, personality yangu iko hivi, in such a way that hata when people tell me, I think you tend to what can I say? You tend to take your time sana before you act on something. You won't take it offensively because you know yourself. So you'll be like, oh yeah, but then me, I usually take my time because I have to make sure I have planned. But kuna ule mwenye lazima afanye kwanza. But I think it brings better relations once you know yourself. I know myself. So I can know your strength, you can know my strength. So I think once you know yourself, you know your identity. It really brings about better relations and better results even around you, whether it is productivity, vitu kama hizo, at work, at home, and even when you're relating with people uko nje. I think it's a very important thing, even before we get into the identity in Christ. I don't know if you have something else to add.
Maybe to add, there are those kind of when you are now, they choose to feature identities out. And they can play so well.
Intentionally.
Yeah, intentional. Intentional. And especially wao unaitwaje hao wenye watu wametulia choleric, is it choleric?
No,
flex. Phlegmatics can kill that area like really well. You know, but unapata vibe yake ni different, but because there is congregation tends to low key
anatulia
anachezea chini but now there is someone who called sanguines. You know, you cannot hide them anywhere. Bwana hata ukifika bwana mbona unanificha bwana, I need to be heard. I need people to listen to me. So we need to check on that too. You know, as we'll be getting out to now the way Christ wants us to identify ourselves in him. No, there are some characters we need to let go. There are some things we need to cut them off.
And I think there's a boldness that comes with knowing now your identity in Christ. Because for me, knowing my identity in Christ is knowing what God says about me. You know? So, if God is saying I am chosen, if God is saying I am free, you know, if God is saying I am forgiven, you see now, those are the things that I am building my identity in. So that I think now, drawing from the confidence of me just knowing myself, from me being me, from now, what does God now say about me? I think it's very important.
We should look into that. Because you're a Christ. It's
amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think it really draws something from what we talked about in our last episode, when we were talking about this being born again living the life before Christ and after Christ. So once you get born again, that's where you now start wondering, okay, so now who am I now that
you realize new stuffs.
Unajua
by the way, kumbe nikiwa kwa Christ nilikuwa sija realize by then me God still loves me so much. Yet I will sin, but that does not give me a room to sin, but still Christ loves me so much. You get that such privileges. We should look into it next.
We need to. So for me, I would say, please, if you're listening to us and if you're watching us, please go do a personality trait test. First of all, tuanzie hapo.
Unajijua?
Hiyo advert yako hiyo umetumwa
na nani? Itabidi umetuliza.
Nakuuliza mpendwa. Je, unajijua?
That's a good one actually. Please make sure you go and do zinapatikana Google. Sindio pasi? Go Google and know your personality trait. It's one of the ways of knowing by this is who I am. Ask people, genuine people, what they think about who you think you are, and also now wewe pia kaa jiulize bede who am I. Then tukirudi to the next episode, please make sure you do not miss it, because we want to really talk about identity in Christ, and we are going to really break it down so that you can also understand what is your identity in Christ. Sindio? Hata sisi bado tunaendelea kujijua. Sindio?
Kabisa. Because I actually self-discovery is a lifelong process. And it's a journey. Even getting to know your identity, some people get to know it early in life. For some people it's a struggle. And I think also with different seasons that come in life, it reveals various things about ourselves. Yes, and I think, as you have said, we'll get into those get to know actually what God says about who we really are. Because many people have a mad kind of identity, probably because of mad. See MARR.
Maybe I wasn't
ED.
laughing
Wewe kwani ulikuwa unadhani ni gani?
Mimi sijasema kitu.
Watu wasome kizungu.
Watu wasome.
Mimi nimesmile.
Basi naona tutumie Kiswahili because
Tumie Kiswahili.
lugha ya mama please.
So what I meant is kuna watu wengi, let me use a simpler term, who have a tampered kind of self-identity, probably because of the traumas they have gone through, probably because of how they were treated when they were growing up, probably because of some bad decisions they made and choices at some point in life, na wakapotea kidogo. And sadly for some people they live their lives na wanaishi life yenye imekuwa imprisoned because of the things they have gone through. And I hope that as we go through this talks about identity, God will set some people free, and we'll get to know that our identity really comes from God.
We are free in him.
Yeah.
So
I'm really excited by the way for this series. This is like our first series, though our 4th episode, but like our first series when it comes to talking about this identity. And I'm excited. Me, I'm very, very excited. We're actually very excited to now come back and talk about the next topic. So please make sure you tune in. And this episode is aired every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Make sure you watch on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, na wapi kwingine? TikTok pia tunarusha ma reels pale. Please make sure you go and watch.
Kibwagizo, niliambiwa mbaazi na hivyo. Sasa nitawaambia kama hii identity ilikuwa ni hiyo mbaazi. Ama ndio vipi?
Utakuja utuambia by the turnaround yako ili happen wapi? Ukataka kwa mbaazi.
Bwana malizia bwana.
Sasa.
Ambia subscribe.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe
by
the
way. Before subscribing.
By the way,
bonyeza.
Just in case you don't know, subscribing is free. Haulipishwi, just click on that red button hapo chini imeandikwa subscribe, and then you click on the bell so that you can get notified every time we air an episode.
Yes.
Yeah, so tunawangoja next Wednesday tuwaone hapo. See you guys on our next episode.